very excited by color and pattern. Fun. I just really want art to be fun. If I ever doubt myself, I just say, well, if I like it, it's gonna work. I was a sculpture student at JU. Maybe I'm from Texas, but I wanted to work really large, but it was painful because once I made these large pieces, I didn't have a place to store it. Soft sculpture really works for me. It came out of necessity. It's practical. It works in my life, but I am also attracted to the softness of it and the pliability and to be able to squish it. I had no idea how big it was going to be. I was just sewing and sewing, sort of trying to guess how it was going to be. And then when I put it together and stuffed it, it was huge. It was so fantastic. I was so happy it was so big. And the thing I found online was the pattern for a soccer ball. And of course, I'm a feminist artist and I like things that are female. So basically, I came up with the idea of making this soccer ball that would have tits, you know, the female aspect of it. I like to challenge myself. So this larger version actually has windows in it with mesh and has these plushies inside. So I've taken a little step further, and that step is really exciting. So it starts out like this, then I stuff it. So I sew it together like this. Then I stuff it.
Okay.
And then these will be sewn together. It'll create this sort of box for it.
Okay, now it's
yeah.
becoming clear.
Yeah, so there'll be a box. I'll get to go ahead and preset those things in there. That'll be the fun part. So once I get the box almost constructed, I can stuff all those things in there. And see, so here's the pentagon, the hexagon, and the ones with mesh, I did that. So here's the 4 mesh pieces, and I basically placed them so they're not too close to each other, they spread out.
So that you'll get all the color.
Right. So I work in rows, like here's the first row, and you can see over there I've got that first row. I have the second row with the mesh. So now I need to sew together the third row.
Okay.
So put 3 together, 3 together, and then you put,
and then it's
so one more big seam like that, and then you have your shape. So I went into this knowing, okay, I need a thinner fabric. And to make it stronger though, to make sure, those seams have to be strong. So every seam has to be double stitched. So there's the seam where you put it together, and then there's a cross stitch like on top. Some artists, they work from nature, but I really work from my inner world and from my imagination. And of course, I'm influenced by the material world and fashion and what people wear and things that man makes. So that's always been something I'm more interested in. do go to all kinds of fabric stores, but the upholstery fabrics I'm more attracted to. I wanted to incorporate some extra texture in the plushies that are in the window.
I just figure it out, you know.
Robin Meehan helped me work on the knitting aspects of this project.
Yeah, no, that looks really great.
Yeah. And like I knew that this would work. Oh my God. So this is probably going to be like a thin strip with something else.
Yeah.
To make these bands. So I loved it. Good shoe shop.
Yes.
Sparkly shoes.
And then there's at some point where it's so big I can't use the machine anymore. So I then have to hand sew. And which is relaxing. I enjoy hand sewing, but of course it takes a lot longer. And when you have a deadline, hand sewing, you know, that can be a little stressful. So the challenge is the machine, getting all that fabric through the machine and it getting really large. And now I have windows with plushies, and then, you know, then the machine's impossible at that point. My space is a challenge because I also paint and draw in this space and do things with glue guns. So I actually had to adapt my space for sewing. Fortunately, I'm at Cork where I have this this big gallery in the middle, and no one seems to mind that I've moved a big table out there, and I have my sculpture on like it went from one table to two tables. So that's a nice thing about being where I'm at in Cork warehouses. I can expand outside of my space somewhat.
Here's the part that I've never done before. So this is
experimentation.
So interesting that this is, you know, but this is what I had to come up with in my mind, sitting there thinking, pondering.
Yeah.
How do I make those things stay in a certain area?
I was an artist as a child. It was, I drew, I could just draw. I came, you know, just as soon as somebody gave me a pencil.
And here's one completely stuffed. I mean, I did enclose the back of it.
I was deaf for 3 years, and I had this really incredible visual world that I experienced as a child. I've always just had a creative, just a need to be creative. My first class in school, first drawing class, I knew, oh, this is what I am.
Tonight is the night. Yeah. Are you excited? How do you feel?
I feel really excited. Can't wait to see it. With all the rest of the artwork, when we left there, only one of the artists had installed their work. So I'm really excited to see the whole show for really the first time. I'll be seeing it fresh.
It's called Who's Fooling Who? And it actually has to do with domestic abuse. Piece isn't literal, but it does have to do with hidden things that are hidden. And so we have the windows revealing some things, and then there's a lot hidden that would be left to the viewer's imagination.
Her work is so captivating and really command the audience to take a look at the unlooked at and decide for themselves what it is that they're seeing, and not just simply a piece of work that goes on the wall that has a clear interpretation of something. I was really excited about her work.
It was so much fun. I so much enjoyed meeting the people and seeing the sculpture there being shown in such a beautiful show, and perfect for its environment, and just meeting wonderful people. I just really love the people here, and seeing their response was really wonderful.
As a curator, my platform is to always include the community in whatever I'm doing, along with emerging and established artists. So for Who's Fooling Who, I had been doing some research about domestic abuse. And in domestic abuse, it is often, if not always, the abuser who is the one that seems stable and rational, and the abused who seems emotionally unstable, fragmented. And it's the abused who's concerned with their welfare and well-being, that of their family and their children. And it's not always women, it could be either sex, but in any event, it's the abused. So, I just got to thinking that anyone can create a facade that's believable. And with that, I asked the artists that are in the show, who all use materials in unconventional ways, and that was the prompt that I had given to the artists. And so for the show, the community engagement part of this will be No More Tears, which is an organization for the survivors of domestic abuse. It's a support group. And so they will be here telling their story, and we'll also be making jewelry available for sale, where a portion of the proceeds will go to benefit No More Tears. And just being able to reach out to hundreds of people who customarily attend these openings will give No More Tears a chance to have their story heard. And for the artists, the engagement of having artists and the community work together is always something that is significant and beneficial to everybody.